Hello, I hope you had a happy Easter. It's Easter Tuesday today. Just before Passiontide, I was given a very thoughtful and kind present. This is an icon of Blessed Elizabeth Barton. She's not one of the saints that people have readily heard of, like St. Peter, St. Paul, St. Valentine, St. Michael, that sort of thing. Indeed, she's rather a controversial figure. We don't quite know much about her early life, but what we do know is that she had a gift of prophecy, which impressed such figures such as Bishop John Fisher and Sir Thomas More, and even Cardinal Wolsey. And I suspect already you'll begin to see a bit of a pattern with those three. She certainly became a nun, and was instrumental in advising various officials of the court, and even Henry VIII came to hear of her. But of course, by the end of the 1520s, when King Henry VIII was getting anxious about his progeny, you could sort of see the air change. Indeed, when he started the processes of annulment of getting rid of Queen Catherine of Aragon in favour of Anne Boleyn, well, he was going to do that by doing away with the papacy. And Elizabeth was clearly disturbed by this, and at one point she actually told Henry VIII that if he would change the Catholic religion, then he would die within a month. And of course, as I said, Thomas More, John Fisher, Thomas Wolsey, all came a cropper rather under Henry VIII, and were treated very shabbily. And Elizabeth Barton, along with a few other Catholic protesters, people who actively protested against the King's marriage to Anne Boleyn, met rather grisly end, and Elizabeth Barton was one of them. Indeed, she has the rather dubious honour of being the only woman to have her head on a spike on London Bridge. Certainly, there have been a lot of Catholic martyrs about that time. John Fisher is particularly noted as a Catholic martyr. And so Sir Thomas More. But we can't say very much about Elizabeth Barton, because apparently she recanted her prophecy. She recanted her prophecies against Henry VIII, which obviously didn't come true. The king didn't die within a month of marrying Anne Boleyn. And one might argue, like Harold Camping, that perhaps he died spiritually. Now, obviously that prophecy didn't come true. But what else we know is that all the tales about her confessing under torture are written by Thomas Cromwell and his party, who are very rabid anti-Roman Catholic, trying to suppress the Catholic uprising, the Pilgrimage of Grace, and that sort of thing, the dissolution of the monasteries. And that's all we know about her end. And everything comes from Thomas Cromwell. This isn't exactly a very level, unbiased reportage. And so, unfortunately, there's sort of not enough in her life for the Roman Catholic Church to declare her saint. But we in the Anglican Catholic Church do venerate her. And certainly in this diocese, in the Diocese of the United Kingdom. Now, why should that be? Well, Elizabeth Barton represents, for us, a stand against the idea that politics can interfere in religion. We've seen that so many times, and indeed that the Roman Catholic Church has suffered from it as well, when popes have been politically manipulated into doing things. Inserting the Filioque clause into the creed came under pressure from a Holy Roman Empire, if memory serves. And likewise, there are other things as well. One might uncharitably say that the Pope is a political leader, and that is debatable. But from my point of view, for charity's sake, I regard the Pope as the Patriarch of the West, and therefore a bishop, and a Catholic bishop. I don't, like all Anglican Catholics, I don't regard the Pope as having universal jurisdiction. But we still venerate the papacy for its spiritual prominence. But what we certainly do not like is when secular governments come in and try and tell us how things go. This has happened twice in the 19th century. Once in the 1830s, when the British government suppressed the some Irish bishoprics in the Church of Ireland. And it happened again when the Parliament interfered in the Gorham case, where a priest who had heretical beliefs was deposed by his bishop and was subsequently reinstated by the British government. Elizabeth Barton stands in the same sort of thing. If you change people's religion, people will get hurt. And the Anglican Catholic Church has arisen itself out of that sort of idea, where social change has been forced upon the Church and tried to impose a doctrinal change. And so we, in this little country, this little diocese in England, we venerated Elizabeth Barton. Ask her prayers. And we hope very much that that we will sort of see her increase, her witness increase in us. She had the courage to stick her head over the parapet and say to the King Henry VIII, one of the people you don't say things to, she said no. And in that way she follows St. John the Baptist, saying about marrying Herodias, his brother's wife. It wasn't lawful. the Church needs to stand up to society. Not in a belligerent, hateful way, but with a real interest of love, of interest of doing good, of bringing about something wonderful. And that's very difficult when you have a society where people don't want to believe in God, or who believe in different gods. So when society tries to put its pressure on us, we must be like Elizabeth Barton and say no. And like Elizabeth Barton, we've got to take the consequences. Though I do pray that we don't end up like that poor woman. Even if we do, well, we have to take it. But the Christian faith is worth standing up for. And that's what we have to remember. We have just celebrated our Lord's rising from the dead. He sanctified the process of dying for us, so that even in dying in pain, we can be saved. We will not be lost. Even in agony, we will not be lost. So again, Elizabeth Barton shows us Christ's promise to us. And so this Eastertide, as you have thought about your own participation in the resurrection of our Lord Jesus Christ, I pray that you may find inspiration in the life of Elizabeth Barton and of the other saints who have stood up and been cut down, the martyrs. And may their prayers for you strengthen you and bring you closer to the one Lord Jesus Christ, who loves you so much that he was crucified on your behalf and who gives you life from his own self. God bless you, and please pray for me.